Tianjin, summer 2025. The stage was set for a gathering that spoke volumes about the future of world politics. Leaders from across Eurasia and beyond filed into the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO summit, their conversations buzzing with the weight of both opportunity and uncertainty. The SCO, once seen as a modest regional forum, has transformed into one of the largest Eurasian blocs, stretching from Beijing to Moscow, Delhi to Central Asia. And the timing could not have been more dramatic. Across the Pacific, the United States was gripped by political division and economic turbulence under Donald Trump's renewed presidency. His tariffs, up to 145% on Chinese goods, had jolted global trade and unnerved partners. Allies who once looked to Washington for stability now questioned its reliability. Amid this chaos, China seized its chance. As one Chinese commentator observed, when America fights its own storms, China builds the lighthouse. At Tianjin, Beijing positioned itself as the calm, steady hand guiding a multipolar world order. Every global shift begins with a vacuum. Under Trump's second administration, American foreign policy created exactly that. The White House's aggressive tariff campaigns struck not only China, but also partners like India. Instead of isolating Beijing, these moves backfired. In fact, India, once cautious about its ties with China, found common ground with Beijing after feeling the sting of U.S. protectionism. Analysts described Prime Minister Narendra Modi's rapprochement with Xi Jinping as accelerated by Trump's tariff offensive. To much of the world, U.S. policy looked erratic, even volatile. Nations searching for dependable partners began to see China not as the challenger, but as the anchor. America built walls, one South Asian official quipped, and China built bridges. The core of Beijing's strategy unfolded in Xi Jinping's keynote address at the Tianjin summit. With characteristic composure, Xi declared his opposition to Cold War mentality, bloc confrontation, and bullying behavior. This was not just rhetoric. Xi coupled his words with action, pledging a 2 billion yuan grant, about $281 million, to SCO member states. It was a tangible demonstration of China's readiness to support development and integration within the bloc. The contrast with Washington could not have been clearer. While the U.S. reached for tariffs and threats, Beijing extended offers of partnership and mutual growth. A Kazakh diplomat summed it up neatly: the Americans bring pressure, the Chinese bring projects.
The summit also showcased concrete examples of China's global vision. At its heart was the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, which Xi urged members to better align their development strategies with. New infrastructure deals, cross-border railway corridors, and energy cooperation agreements were announced, weaving the SCO deeper into China's grand strategy. But it wasn't just about economics. It was also about symbolism. The summit drew over 20 world leaders, including Vladimir Putin and Narendra Modi. For Modi, it was his first trip to China in more than 7 years, a clear signal of shifting alignments. Putin, in remarks to Xinhua, emphasized that China and Russia together sought to make BRICS and the SCO key pillars of global architecture, and a counterweight to discriminatory sanctions. His words underscored what many observers called a deliberate show of Global South solidarity. The ripple effects were immediate. Diplomatic conversations shifted, with China increasingly seen as the steady partner. A Pew Research Center report in mid-2025 revealed a striking trend. In many countries, views of the U.S. had turned more negative. while opinions of China were on the rise. In Mexico, more people expressed confidence in Xi Jinping than in Donald Trump. Economic perceptions were also shifting. In half of surveyed nations, more people now saw China as the world's leading economic power. In Australia, for example, 53% of citizens said they now prioritized strong economic ties with China, a remarkable increase from 2021. For many, it was Washington's unpredictability that drove these changes. As one Southeast Asian policymaker put it, trade is about trust. If America cannot be trusted, then China becomes the natural choice. Looking ahead, the outlines of a new global order are becoming clearer. The world may be moving toward a new bipolar system, but unlike the US-Soviet rivalry of the Cold War, this contest carries more nuance. The US and China compete not just militarily, but economically, ideologically, and diplomatically. Sustained US domestic turbulence could accelerate the erosion of its soft power. Nations tired of uncertainty may turn permanently toward China, seeing it as a more predictable and pragmatic partner. Meanwhile, the Global South is asserting itself. The SCO's expansion, alongside BRICS, signals a realignment of global norms. These coalitions are no longer simply regional clubs. They are emerging as platforms capable of challenging US-led institutions and shaping a multipolar order. As one African leader attending the summit remarked, "For too long, our choices were framed between Washington and Brussels. Now Beijing and Moscow are in the equation, and that changes everything."
The Tianjin summit was more than a diplomatic event. It was a statement. Against the backdrop of US chaos and protectionism, China presented itself as stable, generous, and visionary. Backed by concrete economic pledges, multilateral rhetoric, and the presence of key partners, Beijing made its case for leadership in a new world order. The question is no longer whether China will lead, but how quickly the world will adapt to that reality. In the words of a Chinese scholar reflecting on the summit, history does not wait for those distracted by division. It favors those who build when others tear down. The SCO summit in Tianjin may well be remembered as one of those pivotal moments when global leadership began to shift, irreversibly, toward the East.